perfect way to eliminate someone is to make their death look like an accident. This man always went swimming when he returned home. After swimming for a few minutes, he unexpectedly discovered a $1 million watch at the bottom of the pool. As he reached down to grab it, a man suddenly appeared from the shadows. Moments later, the man drowned. The bodyguards upstairs sensed something was wrong, but looking more carefully, they saw the man was still swimming. The guards lowered their vigilance and continued their patrol. In reality, the assassin was manipulating the man's body, creating the illusion he was still alive. By the time the bodyguards discovered their boss was dead, they immediately sounded the alarm and mobilized everyone, but it was too late. The assassin had changed into chef's clothes and walked out openly. The killer ran to a bridge, jumped into the water as a boat passed by, grabbed onto the stern and successfully escaped. The man's name was Arthur, a top-tier assassin. His killing method involved precise calculations, making targets appear to die accidentally. That's why industry insiders called him the Mechanic. Soon news of the man's accidental drowning made headlines. Arthur met with his handler Harry, who was both his mentor and his best friend. Arthur collected his payment for the job. Soon he received new assassination orders. To his surprise, the target was his friend Harry. Arthur was confused, wondering if there had been a mistake with the assignment. He approached the organization's leader Dean to inquire. Dean told him Harry had leaked confidential information for money, resulting in the deaths of 5 assassins, and Harry's offshore account had received $20 million, proving he had betrayed the organization. This was something the organization could not tolerate. Despite this, Arthur still wanted to talk with Harry, but Dean said the matter was non-negotiable and told him he must eliminate Harry within 2 days or they would send someone else. Caught between his closest friend and the organization's death sentence, Arthur experienced intense internal conflict. Eventually, he called Harry, telling him to run quickly and revealing that Dean planned to have him killed. Aware of the dangerous situation, Harry followed Arthur's instructions, disabled the floor's surveillance cameras, and took the elevator to the underground parking garage. When he prepared to escape, he discovered his car had been sabotaged. Arthur emerged from the shadows, and Harry suddenly realized Arthur wasn't trying to save him at all, but had used their mutual trust to help him bypass all security surveillance and damaged his car to make the scene look like a carjacking gone wrong. Harry knew his end was near. He understood the organization's methods. Once he became a target, if Arthur didn't act, other assassins would come. Since death was inevitable, he preferred to die by his student's hand. Harry gave his favorite gun to Arthur, asking him to deliver the final blow. At Harry's funeral, Arthur met Harry's son, Steve. His father's death had deeply affected him. Steve wanted to avenge his father and asked Arthur to take him as an apprentice. Arthur, feeling indebted to Harry, agreed to his request. He took Steve to practice shooting in the countryside. Steve's marksmanship improved rapidly. Their relationship became like that of Arthur and Harry years ago. Arthur invited Steve to move in with him. Arthur told him there were 2 things in the house he couldn't touch. First, his vintage car collection. Second, his antique record player, or he would face consequences. One day, after completing a mission, Arthur accidentally noticed the gun at Steve's waist. It was the one Harry had given him before dying. Earlier, while packing equipment, the gun had accidentally fallen out. Steve recognized this gun. It was his father's most treasured weapon, now found in Arthur's suitcase. Steve guessed Arthur had killed his father. He kept quiet about it, but he wouldn't let it go. While stopping for gas, Steve put the fuel nozzle inside the car, spilling gasoline everywhere. Steve walked to a corner and aimed his father's gun at the car. The explosion was so violent, Arthur's remains would be unidentifiable. Steve had finally avenged his father. He returned to the house he shared with Arthur looked at. The record player in the corner today, he would touch everything Arthur forbade. He selected a record and put it on. With classical music playing, he went to the garage and drove away in Arthur's favorite sports car. Steve found a note in the passenger seat saying, "If you're reading this, you're dead." At that moment, the record player burst into flames, causing the entire house to explode. Arthur wasn't dead at all. He had noticed Steve's unusual behavior. When Steve left the car, Arthur jumped out seconds before the explosion. Afterward, he drove another car into the distance, beginning his brand new life.